Hey, welcome back to my channel. I figured we're into 2020 now, but I figured I'd do my top 5 movies of 2019. Horror-wise, I will do a top 10 overall movies of 2019 that I liked. Now, take in mind, I haven't seen everything. The horror movie-wise, I check out the horror movies I really want to see. I try to see them in the theaters. The ones that look okay, I try to catch up with them later. I haven't seen everything, so if a movie you really loved isn't on this list, tough shit. This is my list. These are the movies I liked. I might not have seen the movie, and there might be some movies you really liked that I did not. I will say, honorable mention wise, before we get into the top 5, I would say Zombieland Double Tap. I was surprised how good that sequel was. I really enjoyed it, so I would put that as an honorable mention. Yeah, let's get in the top 5 here. My number 5, which surprised the hell out of me when I saw it, because I didn't know what to expect, and the trailers look cool, like different enough to make me interested in it, and that was the Child's Play remake. Now, I was never the biggest Chucky fan of that series. I liked the first one, I liked the second one, and I don't mind the third one. Those are the 3 I can watch. Bride of Chucky, I never liked that movie. I just can't get into it, and I know that's how Ronnie Yu got Freddy vs. Jason, which I still think was a mistake, directing-wise. I'll get into that when I review Freddy vs. Jason, but whatever. And I haven't seen the sequel since then. I own the box set. I have not watched anything past Bride of Chucky. So that's just full disclosure. But this movie looked different enough, like they were taking a different angle at it, that I felt it looked interesting enough to check out. So my wife, my son, and my in-laws went to Pennsylvania because we have a relative that wasn't doing so well, and they went to visit, and I had to stay behind because I had to work and take care of the dogs and the cat. And that weekend was the weekend it came out, and I went to see it. I figured, let me go check it out. It looks interesting. I want to see what they do with it. And I was pleasantly surprised. Now, minus the design of the doll, which I think looks like ass. I'm sorry. That design just doesn't work for me. But other than that, I love the technological aspect of it. This high-tech doll, it's supposed to be your best friend. And it's definitely a cool, different take on it. And once the shit hits the fan and the doll goes batshit crazy, starts killing people, there's some really good kills. I like the relationship between the kid and the doll. And I was satisfied when it was over. It was definitely a pleasant surprise for a movie that I did not expect much from. So the Child's Play remake is number 5. Number 4 was another movie that caught me by surprise. This one didn't get a theatrical release, at least by me. I think it got a small theatrical release, probably in LA and New York. And I saw it was coming out in September, and I bought it through iTunes because it was produced by Eli Roth, and it just looked interesting enough, and it was on sale for like $12.99 or something, so I bought it. And I sat down and watched it, and I was, again, pleasantly surprised. That movie is Haunt. Now, is this movie the greatest movie I've ever seen? No. But the filmmakers knew what they had, knew what their movie was, and they did their job well. The movie moves quick enough. The characters are likable enough. The acting's good. There's some really good kills. There's some suspense. There's some creepiness. And I like the ending. I really enjoyed this movie. It's not the best horror movie of the year, but I thought it warranted to make at least number 4 on this list. It surprised me. And I did a review on it back in October, or end of September, or beginning of October, and I gave it a positive review then, and I still feel the same way now. It's definitely a cool little horror flick, and it was one of those movies, knows what it is, and that's it. And you got to respect it for that. So on to number 3. Number 3 for me is another movie that knows what it is, does it really well, and gets out. And that movie is Crawl. Now, Alexander Aja directed this movie, and he's the gentleman who gave us High Tension, which is a really good slasher movie, and the Hills Have Eyes remake, which I will contend the Hills Have Eyes remake is better than the original Hills Have Eyes. I know that's sacrilegious. God bless Wes Craven, may you rest in peace. But it definitely was an upgrade from those movies back in the 70s. Um, and then he did some other movies, Mirrors with Kiefer Sutherland, which I own that movie. It's okay. It's not as good as his first two movies. And then he did the Piranha remake, which I saw in the movies in 3D. It's okay. Whatever. But this movie was really good. It was Return to Form. And I would, if you haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil it. I haven't reviewed it yet. I will eventually. But if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's really, really good. Now, my number 2 movie, which is another movie that kind of came out of nowhere for me anyway. I try to keep up on horror news as much as I can. But I didn't learn, I didn't really, I saw the trailer for the movie and I didn't think much of it at first. And then as it got closer to release, I suddenly became interested in it, and I went to see it, and I loved it. That movie is Ready or Not, starring Samara Weaving, who is great in the movie. Adrian Brody's also in the movie, and he's really good. It took me by surprise. It's funny, it's gory, it's suspenseful, and it's a cool horror flick, man. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's out in Blu-ray. You can rent it online. iTunes has it. I'm sure Amazon Prime has it to rent. Vudu, whatever your streaming service of choice is, it's available. Check it out. It's really well done. I won't give anything away. I'm going to do a review on it eventually. But yeah, that's my number 2. My number 1 was not the movie I thought I'd have at number 1 this year. I thought that distinction would go to It Chapter 2. While I still enjoyed It Chapter 2, it is definitely a flawed sequel. So for all the people that said they thought this was going to right the wrongs of the TV miniseries where the first part was more interesting than the second part, it didn't. The first part's still better. Now, this second part is better than the miniseries second part, but there's still problems. And then the over-reliance on CGI at the end. The CGI looks so bad. I still enjoyed the movie. I don't hate it. But that was the one I thought was going to be number 1. My number 1 actually is Doctor Sleep. And who knew we needed a sequel to The Shining? But this is definitely the sequel we deserved if we were going to get one. I was blown away by this when I walked out of the theater. I did a very positive review right out of the theater, like a short, quick review, and then I did another full-length review. And I loved everything about this movie, from the cast, the directing, the writing, the pacing. I didn't mind that it took its time. I was enthralled with the story. And I can't wait. There's a 3-hour cut coming out in another 2 weeks. I can't wait to see it. I thought Mike Flanagan, the writer and director, did a great job of... never read the book. From all accounts, it's pretty accurate to the book, although obviously when in the movie form you make changes, and he did. But it bridged a sequel to The Shining to an actual sequel to Stanley Kubrick's movie, and it did it just did it organically. It didn't feel inorganic at all, and I really liked it. At the end, I liked the ending. I liked everything, and that's my number 1 horror movie of the year. So, as a recap, my honorable mention was Zombieland Double Tap, which really surprised me how good it was, considering it's been so long since the first one came out. You never know how those things are going to work out when they do stuff like that. Number 5 was the Child's Play remake. I liked that movie a lot. It surprised me. Number 4 was Haunt. Number 3, Crawl. Number 2, Ready or Not. And number 1, Doctor Sleep for me. And some of these movies you're going to see on my best top 10 of the year, because I think a couple of them deserve to be there. But that's it for this top 5 horror movies of the year. Leave a comment down below what your favorite horror movie of the year was. See how much. Leave your top 5. See how it compares to mine. We all have different opinions. We all have different likes and tastes. So you might not agree with mine at all. There might be only a couple on there you like. There might be none on there you like. But again, like I said, it's my list. So tough. That's it for me. Have a great weekend, and I'll be back soon with my top 10 of the year. Thanks.